welcome to another episode of Film Club. I said that today's episode will be on filmmakers and film festivals, but it's also for people with a general interest in films, as per usual, and film festivals. And a great time to do this as we are currently going through Cannes 2021. So what better time to talk about film festivals? Do I make a film with a festival in mind? You most certainly can. And it's a great way to ensure that you tick off all the qualifying criteria, but making a film specifically for a festival may not always be the best idea. Although it's good to have festivals in mind when you're making a film, and if that's the route you want to go down, it can really be easy to get lost. And therefore, the art and craft of film and your own creative license may suffer as a result. So bear in mind that each festival does have its own criteria, and don't let a festival or the idea of submitting to a festival stop you from creating the film that you want to make. This is the most important thing. There's a time when you should definitely consider making specifically for a festival, and that's when there's a call out for films, maybe for a campaign, a brand, a charity, and it might spark something. It might spark an idea, or it might give you the push that you need. But be aware that these are not always as peachy as they seem, so do read the terms and conditions. The amazing thing about festivals now is that the list of accepted films is huge. So whilst short, feature and documentaries are the most common, everything from specific genre films to experimental films, music videos, short animations, trailers, and so much more is accepted. So again, each with their own criteria, but now as so many film festivals accept such a wide variety of films, can be a really great place to start your filmmaking career. Start small. Use this as a gauge to assess whether you want to submit a fuller film. So when I submitted my short film, I made it specifically as a prologue to a feature film. And by doing so, even though my film got accepted into Film Festival in Canada, I decided that that film wouldn't make a feature film, and I instead decided to start drafting it as a stage play. So you can use film festivals as that gauge of what to do next. So this is a tough one because the process differs per person. But if we look at the script stage, just to start off with, being aware of kind of what festival criteria is can allow you the opportunity to make yourself a list, which you can use as a checklist against your screenplay. If you go down this route, word of advice, write your screenplay first. Forget festivals exist. What are the Oscars? What's the Sundance? What's the Rain Dance? Allow yourself the creative freedom to write. Allow yourself the creative freedom to make the film that you want to make, then bring out that checklist, then find that criteria and use that to strengthen your script, to fix it, to play around with it, rather than quash your ideas and creativity to fit into that festival bracket, because that can alter the result so much. And you might not choose a festival route in the end, or if you don't get accepted into film festivals, you will blame the festival criteria that you used. So especially in those earlier films, while you're still trying to develop your screenplay voice or your visual voice or your visual language, do it your way and use the criteria just to kind of adapt your script and make it the best it can be in that way. Is it worth even going in for a film festival? It's a funny one. Firstly, I would say that the festival circuit as a whole, so I'm talking globally, centres on several things, two of which I'm speaking specifically about some of the biggest and most noteworthy. they centre on very, very stringent rules and criteria, and often money. I don't necessarily mean the money that you have to pay to submit your films, although this is a huge factor. But with some film festivals, you do just to get them accepted into the festival application process, you have to have your film screened for several weeks in a public cinema, normally about 2 weeks, and specific dates. This can be very costly. Before I go any deeper, let me just say research, regardless, always research. There's hundreds and thousands of festivals, and you consider the big ones, network funded, charity, city, local towns, schools, shall I go on? So I think when I talk to a filmmaker about festivals in any capacity, I always say go for festivals, but go for them with some apprehension. There's a lot of new festivals that sell themselves very well, but when they deliver their end of the bargain, always. Same goes for some of the bigger ones. You do need to look at how much you're paying to enter. You need to look at what the benefits are, if any, and if they can be justified. So often, many will send you back like a script consultation or feedback. That can be so beneficial. Again, not always. It just does depend sometimes on who read your script, maybe what mood they were in. So it's quite hard to always get it right, but the more aware you are of, I guess, not necessarily the repercussions, but as long as you're aware of what may or may not happen when you do submit your film, then it's your choice entirely. And I'd say go for the festivals. You can work at a film festival from volunteer level right through to permanent staff and freelance. There are more jobs than I can probably list, more so than I probably know. But at volunteer level, you've got your kind of ushering, seating, sometimes admin. It can be a great experience. You sometimes get access to festival events and different screenings. So it's not without its perks. Critics, writers, and reviewers, some of which do come at volunteer level, which is great if you are in the early stages of your career or pre-career. Maybe you just want to expand your portfolio, but otherwise these can be on a freelance basis when it's festival season. Other times, if you're working permanently for a production company or the festival itself, then you can be made permanent staff as a writer, either writing about films throughout the year, writing various types of copy for websites. So that's quite a big area. You also have production, coordination, events. You have accounting and finance roles, managerial roles. The roles are actually a lot more expansive than people realize, but it is a very, very specific sector within the film industry. You can often or sometimes attend just purely as a guest. Many of the film festivals are closed to either invite only, so that's industry level and people involved, including those people who submit and runners up and stuff. Sometimes they're just ticketed in part, so that could be you can attend the event but not the screenings, or vice versa. Now with COVID, so much has gone online, so I guess there's kind of more accessibility to certain parts of the film festivals because there's kind of like an online space now for them. But again, every festival is different. This is just a hard one to, I guess, answer right now because COVID has affected film festivals up to this year as well. So I'm attending a few film festivals virtually, which I don't think I could have done any other year because there just wasn't the capacity for these festivals to do that. There wasn't the need for them to kind of do that. So look into it and find a festival just to attend and watch the newest and coolest and most experimental films. So that's the end of a slightly different episode of Film Club. I give this one, I guess, a bit more to filmmakers, but I am going to go back into films as of next week. If you are a filmmaker, come and talk to back with your film. Come and talk to me about any other sector of film. I'd love to hear from you. The contact details can be found on Instagram. And don't forget, you can also recommend films that you want me to watch or review or talk about in film club, so you know how to contact me. See you next week.